subscribe to my channel.
Meditation. How your brain travels beyond reality. What if I told you your mind has already left this reality many times without you even knowing it? Somewhere between your waking thoughts and your sleeping dreams lies a hidden dimension. One science is only just beginning to glimpse, but mystics have walked for millennia. A realm where time stretches like smoke, space folds like cloth, and the laws of the physical world quietly dissolve. This is not science fiction. It's the frontier of your own consciousness, and the key to accessing it is meditation. But not the meditation you've been sold in trendy apps and watered-down blogs. No, we're speaking of the ancient art, the true meditation, practiced in the temples of lost civilizations, whispered through the breath of Himalayan sages, and encoded in forgotten scrolls that spoke of mind flight, soul travel, and the mysterious samadhi, a state where the self dissolves and the mind becomes a vessel for something far more expansive. So what really happens when you meditate? Does your brain simply relax, or does it activate latent powers? Is meditation a tool for peace, or is it the ancient technology of transcendence? Can you actually travel beyond the bounds of reality into realms unseen, unfelt, and unmeasured in eye? This video, we will journey deep into the neurological, mystical, and metaphysical landscape of the meditative mind. We'll explore how the brain shifts frequencies, how consciousness may extend beyond the physical body, and why ancient traditions saw meditation not just as relaxation, but as a sacred rite of interdimensional travel. You'll discover how esoteric schools from Egypt to Tibet viewed the mind as a mirror of the cosmos, and how, when stilled, it reflects realities far beyond the material world. We'll delve into ancient brain maps, obscure practices that claim to unlock inner portals, and new scientific theories suggesting consciousness may not be limited to the brain at all. But most importantly, we'll explore how you can access this hidden potential. How with focused intent and sacred stillness, you can pierce the veil between worlds and remember the truth your soul has always known. You are not confined by this reality. You are simply tuned into it. By the end of this video, you won't just understand meditation as a calming tool. You'll see it as a vehicle for transformation, as powerful as any machine, as mysterious as any ritual. So prepare yourself, not just to learn, but to awaken. Because once the mind begins to travel, it never returns unchanged. Long before MRI scans and neurological studies, ancient civilizations already knew that the mind held untapped dimensions, realms that could be accessed through stillness, breath, and inward focus. Meditation, in its truest form, wasn't simply a relaxation technique. It was a rite of passage, a sacred science, a gateway between worlds. The ancient brain temples of Egypt, in the shadowy sanctuaries of ancient Egypt, where initiates walked in silence through halls echoing with glyphs of stars and serpents, meditation was central to spiritual initiation. The priests of Heliopolis and Memphis spoke of the Ka and the Ba, aspects of the soul that could separate from the body during deep trance states. This was not metaphor. These were spiritual technologies used to travel the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, or more accurately, the inner dimension of the psyche and soul. Some temples, such as the Serapeum and the Temple of Luxor, were designed with acoustic properties that amplified chants and harmonics, resonant frequencies believed to align the brain with cosmic forces. These spaces weren't places of worship in the modern sense. They were chambers for awakening the hidden faculties of the mind. The yogic maps of consciousness, meanwhile, in the Himalayas, the ancient rishis and sages developed intricate systems of meditation that mapped the human consciousness with astonishing precision. Through dhyana and samadhi, yogis claim to reach states where their minds dissolved entirely into the cosmic ocean of awareness, Brahman. These weren't vague spiritual metaphors, they described layers of reality, loka, stacked like veils, each accessible through deeper meditation. The brain was not seen as a mere biological organ, but as a transmitter, an interface between the self and the infinite. The chakras, often misrepresented today, were not simply energy centers. For healing, they were seen as dimensional gates, points where mind, matter, and spirit converge. When activated through disciplined meditation, these gates allowed consciousness to ascend, layer by layer, beyond sensory perception. The esoteric teachings of the West. In the West, too, hidden streams of wisdom whispered the same truth. The Hermetic texts of ancient Alexandria, blending Egyptian, Greek, and early Christian mysticism, spoke of nous, the divine mind, capable of rising above the world of form through meditative alignment. Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary sage, who many believe to be an echo of the Egyptian Imhotep, taught that the universe was mental in nature, and that through silent contemplation, the initiate could perceive the all, not as an idea, but as a direct experience. Even in Christian mysticism, saints like Teresa of Avila and John of the Cross described vivid internal journeys during deep prayer, entering interior castles, or being lifted into divine ecstasy. These were not dreams. They were meditative states, perceived as real or more real than waking life. Why this knowledge was forgotten? So how did such profound wisdom become diluted into shallow breathing exercises? Much of it was hidden, guarded within mystery schools, passed down only to those who proved themselves ready. In many traditions, the power of meditation was considered dangerous in the hands of the uninitiated. After all, to leave the body, in mind or spirit, is to detach from the illusion of control. With the rise of materialist science in the 17th and 18th centuries, consciousness was increasingly reduced to brain chemistry. Meditation was stripped of its metaphysical roots and rebranded as a mental health tool. Useful, yes, but no longer seen as the key to unlocking higher planes of being. Modern culture fears what it cannot measure, and so the inner worlds, those accessible only through experience, were dismissed, ignored, or pathologized. The traveler of the mind became a dreamer, a hallucinator, a mystic to be pitied or studied, but never believed. And yet, the techniques survived, quietly, in monasteries, oral lineages, and hidden texts, waiting for a time when the world might be ready to remember. A return to inner truth now, in a time of digital chaos, fractured attention, and existential longing. Meditation is being rediscovered, not just as a tool for wellness, but as a key to inner evolution. Scientists are beginning to confirm what the ancients always knew, that meditation changes the structure of the brain, that it alters perception, that in deep states, the brain behaves as if it's dreaming or awakening into something entirely other. But the deepest truths aren't found in studies. They're found in stillness, because when you sit in silence long enough, the walls between reality and imagination begin to blur. Thought becomes vision, awareness becomes presence. And then, something strange happens. You begin to feel that you're not in the world. The world is in you. So, what actually happens when you meditate, not just biologically, but energetically, consciously, spiritually? Let's begin with the first shift. The brain begins to slow its frequencies. Normally, in a waking, alert state, your brain operates in beta waves, rapid, active, focused. But as you close your eyes and begin to still the mind, those waves gradually descend. You enter alpha, a calm, relaxed state. Then theta, a liminal frequency associated with dreams, intuition, and deep meditation. And finally, in rare moments, delta or even gamma, states where time distorts, the body fades away, and what remains is a field of pure awareness. But these are not just waves, they are portals. Imagine the mind as a radio, constantly tuned to one station, consensus reality. You live in it, breathe in it, are conditioned by it, but meditation retunes the dial. You begin to pick up frequencies from other dimensions, not hallucinations, but layers of consciousness as real and structured as your waking world. The gate between worlds, the pineal lens in. Many mystical traditions, the key to this shift lies in the pineal gland, a tiny pine cone-shaped structure nestled deep within the brain. Descartes called it the seat of the soul. The Egyptians encoded it symbolically in the eye of Horus. The Hindus placed it at the sixth chakra, the ajna, or command center. Why such reverence for a tiny gland? Because when you meditate deeply, especially in darkness or stillness, the pineal gland begins to activate. It secretes melatonin, and in advanced states, possibly DMT, a mysterious compound found naturally in the brain and also in powerful plant medicines like ayahuasca. DMT is often called the spirit molecule because of its association with otherworldly visions and experiences of unity, time distortion, and ego dissolution. But unlike psychedelics, which burst open the door with chemical force, meditation allows you to open it gently, with awareness and intention. You're not breaking into another world. You're remembering how to walk between them. The brain as antenna, not generator. Modern neuroscience often claims the brain produces consciousness. But what if that's backward? Ancient teachings suggest that the brain does not generate awareness. It receives it like a finely tuned antenna. The moment you begin to meditate, especially with deep focus and breath, the antenna adjusts. You tune into subtler frequencies of consciousness, ones not visible to the senses, but felt deeply within. Have you ever had a moment, mid-meditation, where you felt watched, but in a sacred way, as if something vast and intelligent were observing you? That's not imagination. That's perception, awakening beyond the veil. In esoteric Buddhism, they speak of the clear light mind, a luminous awareness that always exists beneath the layers of thought, emotion, and identity. When you meditate deeply, you begin to approach this light. At first, it's fleeting, a flicker, a strange sense of being both vast and empty. But as practice deepens, this light becomes familiar, and then it becomes home. Story time. The silent monk and the shimmering door. There's an ancient Zen story of a monk who meditated every day in a mountain cave for 7 years. He spoke to no one, ate only what the forest provided, and stared at a blank stone wall. One day, after years of silence, the wall began to shimmer, not physically but perceptually. He felt a pulling sensation, as though his consciousness were sliding through the stone itself. On the other side, he claimed, was a world of pure symbols, vast geometries, colors with emotions, and beings made of thought. When he returned to ordinary awareness, everything looked the same, yet he knew it wasn't. The veil had thinned, science might scoff. But the story echoes a truth found in countless traditions. That meditation, when practiced with intensity and devotion, can crack open the illusion of separation and show you what lies beneath. The architecture of the inner worlds, according to Hermetic and Kabbalistic thought, the universe is layered like an onion. The material realm, where physical matter dominates. The astral plane, a realm of forms, thoughts, and subtle energies. The causal or mental plane, where intention and archetype are forged. And above them, the divine realm, ineffable, luminous, and timeless. In deep meditation, you begin to ascend this ladder, not vertically but inwardly. The body becomes still, the breath slows, and the mind unhooks from the sensory world. Suddenly, the inner architecture becomes apparent. Lights behind the eyes, ringing in the ears, geometric pulses in the mind's eye. These are not side effects. They are signposts. You're not zoning out. You're zoning in to the most profound structure of all, your own multidimensional being. Afar, we've explored how meditation alters brainwaves, activates inner gateways, and initiates journeys through the layered structure of consciousness. But what happens when we go even deeper? When the self begins to dissolve, and what remains is not a person meditating, but pure awareness, observing itself, the death of the ego, the birth of the witness in deep states of meditation, particularly those described in advanced yogic or mystical traditions. Something strange occurs. The ego begins to unravel. The ego is the I that defines itself by stories, your name, your role, your history. But in meditation, especially as one enters samadhi, the thoughts that hold the ego together begin to flicker and fade. What's left is the witness, a silent observer that has always been there, watching, feeling, knowing. It is not your identity. It is not your personality. It is not even your mind. It is awareness itself, ancient, still, boundless. This is the point where many report entering altered states that defy language. Some describe floating in a sea of light. Others feel themselves expand into the entire room or dissolve into the stars. Time bends, space warps, and often there's a profound, overwhelming recognition. This is who I've always been. These states are not dreams. They are not hallucinations. They are encounters with the foundational layer of reality. Consciousness unbound by form. Myth, misconception, and the mystical brain. Modern culture tends to reduce these experiences to neurological quirks. Oh, that's just your brain doing strange things under stress. But here's the paradox. If the brain is just a machine, why does it possess the capacity to simulate or even generate realities so vivid, so coherent, and so utterly transcendent? The deeper truth might be this. Your brain isn't creating these realms, it's tuning into them. Just as your eyes see only a narrow band of the light spectrum, your waking mind perceives only a sliver of reality. Meditation doesn't fabricate, it reveals. This aligns with ancient teachings from Tibetan Dzogchen to the Eleusinian mysteries of Greece. In each, the practitioner is guided through layers of illusion until they reach the clear light, divine ground, or infinite field. All point to the same reality, that what we call ordinary life is simply one vibrational slice of a far vaster, multidimensional existence. Dimensional consciousness and inner travel, many esoteric systems, particularly those drawn from theosophy, Gnosticism, and Sufi mysticism, describe consciousness as inherently non-local. That is, your awareness is not confined to your body or brain. Through deep meditation, your point of consciousness can shift, subtly or dramatically, into other planes. Have you ever meditated and suddenly felt like you were no longer in your body? As if your sense of me had floated behind you, above you, or into some vast expanse. These aren't tricks of the mind. They are moments where consciousness momentarily untethers from the default mode network, the brain's identity generator, and moves into freer space. This is why some traditions speak of astral projection, soul flight, or dream walking. They're not fantasy. They're interpretations of the same core phenomenon, the movement of consciousness across dimensions. And within these realms, Practitioners have reported seeing symbolic landscapes that reflect their inner psyche, encountering luminous beings or guides who seem to emanate pure intelligence, downloading knowledge not learned but remembered as if it had always been within them, waiting to be unlocked. The skeptic says, "That's just your subconscious." The mystic smiles and replies, "Yes. And where do you think the subconscious lives? Beyond the mind. Meditation as cosmic communion. There's a level of meditation so deep, so silent, that even thought vanishes. No images, no inner dialogue, just being. In this state, time collapses. The boundaries between the meditator and the object of meditation dissolve. There is no inside or outside. There is no self and other. There is only awareness aware of itself. This is the non-dual state, the jewel at the heart of Advaita, Zen, and the mystical core of every spiritual tradition. A state where the brain is no longer processing data in the usual way, but resonating with the fundamental frequency of existence itself. And when you return, when the mind switches back on, the world looks different. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. You've glimpsed the infinite through the stillness of the finite. You've seen the eternal behind the veil of the temporary. You've remembered that you are not a wave. You are the ocean, pretending to be a wave for a little while. So you've heard the stories, the science, the mysticism. But how do you actually use meditation to unlock these deeper states of awareness? How do you go from surface-level calm to mind-expanding, reality-bending inner travel? Let's strip it down to the essentials and rebuild it into a living practice. Prepare the vessel before any true inner journey. The outer vessel, your body and environment, must be attuned. You don't need incense, crystals, or a monastery carved into a cliff, though those are nice. What you do need is intentionality. Treat your meditation space like a sacred temple, even if it's just a corner of your bedroom. Dim the lights or sit in natural darkness. This helps activate the pineal gland. Sit comfortably but upright. Alertness is key. Lying down invites sleep, not transcendence. Silence or soft harmonic tones like binaural beats can guide your brain into theta and beyond. Then offer a simple intention, not a desire, not a wish, but a whisper to your soul. I am ready to see beyond the veil. The breath is a bridge. Your breath is the first gateway. In every tradition, from Zen to Kabbalah, the breath is used to quiet the monkey mind and root awareness in the body. Try this simple practice. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7 counts, exhale for 8 counts. Do this for 3 to 5 minutes. It will slow your heart rate, quiet your nervous system, and open the mind to deeper frequencies. Breath isn't just oxygen, it's spirit, known as prana, chi, or ruach. With each conscious breath, you remind your system that something deeper is unfolding. The eye behind the eyes now. Close your eyes and focus on the space between your eyebrows, the third eye center. Don't force it. Just rest your awareness there. Over time, you may begin to feel subtle pressure, heat, or even see internal lights, geometry, or landscapes. This is the pineal, awakening, not imagination but activation. Some meditative paths recommend visualizing a luminous orb of violet or indigo light at this point. Others suggest imagining a door, one that slowly opens as your breath flows inward. The key is this: stay present, but let go. Let the experience arise from within. The watcher awakens as thoughts come and go, and they will. Don't fight them. Watch them. Let them pass like clouds in the sky. With time, you'll feel a shift, a subtle awareness that you are not the thoughts, but the space they move through. This is the emergence of the witness state. From here, deeper levels of perception become accessible. You may feel your sense of I dissolve into the room or the cosmos. Perceive vibrational shifts, hums, tones, or inner echoes. Sense presences, guides, ancestors, or energetic fields. Do not grasp, do not fear, simply observe. This neutrality is the key to entering higher states of mind, what the ancients called the subtle body or the astral self. Journaling the journey after your meditation, write everything down. Symbols, sensations, emotions, images. Even if it feels random, record it. Over time, a pattern may emerge. Visions may connect. Teachings may unfold. This is how the unconscious mind begins to speak to you. And in those symbols, you may begin to see maps to other realms of consciousness. Daily devotion, not occasional curiosity. If you meditate once a month, you're visiting the temple. If you meditate every day, you become the temple. Start with just 10-15 minutes daily. The consistency matters more than the length. With time, your mind will naturally slip into altered states faster. The veil between waking and inner worlds becomes thinner, and eventually, it may dissolve entirely. Common pitfalls and how to move through them. I can't stop thinking. That's okay. Don't try. Instead, become aware of the thinker. Meditation is not about silencing the mind. It's about detaching from it. Nothing is happening. Trust the process. Some of the deepest rewiring happens below your awareness. Stillness is not nothing. It's the ground of everything. I had a weird or dark experience. Shadow work is part of the path. Meditation reveals what's hidden, not just the light, but also the wounds. Face them with compassion, and they will become your teachers. Meditation is not a hobby. It is an initiation, a process of death and rebirth done moment by moment, breath by breath. With practice, you may not just visit higher realms. You may realize they've always been within you. Now, are you ready to remember? We began this journey with a question. Can your mind truly travel beyond reality? Now you know. The answer doesn't lie in distant galaxies or ancient ruins. It lies within you, in the sacred space behind your eyes, beneath your breath, and beyond your thoughts. Through meditation, you don't escape the world. You pierce the illusion of its limits. You shift from being a character in the dream to the dreamer. We've touched on the forgotten science behind brainwaves, the mystic maps encoded in ancient texts, and the esoteric reality that your consciousness is not confined to flesh and bone. You are a multidimensional being, and your mind, when trained and tuned, can become a vessel for interdimensional exploration. Meditation is the portal, your awareness is the key, and reality, it's far more fluid, mysterious and alive than we've been taught to believe. A final thought. Remember this. Every time you close your eyes in silence, you are stepping into a practice as old as humanity itself. You're joining the ranks of sages, mystics, and seekers who have all gazed inward and seen the stars reflected back. You're not imagining the journey, you're remembering it. The brain does not just think, it transmits, receives, and transcends. So the next time you sit down to meditate, don't just seek calm, seek the unknown. Ask not just for peace, but for truth, and then listen to the silence behind the silence, because there you might just hear the universe whisper, you were never just a part of this world. You are the doorway to all of it. If this journey stirred something within you, an echo, a curiosity, a memory, then share your thoughts below. What have you experienced in meditation? What truths have you glimpsed behind the veil? And if you haven't yet, subscribe and step further into the mysteries. This is only the beginning. Until next time, keep your third eye open and your heart tuned to the silence between the stars.